thank you to Shirokoi for your support on Patreon. Hello everyone, my name is Deckerlink the Trained Unprofessional, and welcome to Repeat. We explained what had happened since Sissel passed out. Our research in the library, finding Sissel drowning in Bradley Lake, and Hershel nursing him back to health. There was no mention of the Remnant ripping Echo apart, or the Black Lady of Bradley Lake aiding us. The mere idea of it sounded too crazy.
I see. Don't just I see. Tell us what you meant when you said Hershel is your uncle.
Oh, right. He sounded distracted.
I, kind of found a VHS made by Mother when I was a baby.
Hershel was there recording the video and laughing with us.
My mother is Cecilia Bradley, and it turns out Hershel is my uncle.
Wow, that's a pretty big bombshell. How does that make you feel?
Yikes, that's the most therapist thing I've ever heard from you.
Ginevra Corliss, therapist extraordinaire at your service. Seriously though, are you doing alright? This kind of revelation isn't easy to process. Sissel's eyes stared into the distance in an unsettling frown.
Don't get me wrong, it's nice to know my mom didn't throw me out like trash, but has Hershel always knew about this? He had to have at least suspected that I was his nephew. It explains why he took care of a random kid off the street, but why didn't he tell me?
There was a suspiciously bitter edge to his voice that made me more than a little nervous. Well, hey, orphan boy, it turns out I'm your uncle and your mom is dead isn't something you could just announce out of the blue. Maybe Hershel just didn't want to make things awkward?
Maybe.
The attic door suddenly slammed open and a rain-soaked Hershel stumbled inside. I got your text, Izzy! Hershel's face lit up and he bounded into Sissel in a crushing wet bear hug. You're awake! Jesus, tap dancing Christ, don't scare me like that again! You have any idea how worried I was? Hershel squeezed Sissel close to his chest, sighing with relief. Sissel didn't hug back immediately. Took a few moments before his arms rested suspiciously on Herschel's back. How many freaking,
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to worry you.
No, I should be the one apologizing. Hershel stuttered and struggled to compose himself. Well, what I meant to say is, well, first and foremost, I'm really sorry for blowing up at you the other day. I just got real angry and said things I couldn't take back. You didn't deserve any of that.
About that. Mind explaining why you're so twitchy about your culinary competition winnings? You've been very shifty about the whole subject.
Hershel's ears twitched, and he sat back nervously. It's, a long story.
I've got time. It sounds like you've got a lot to tell, Uncle.
What? How did you find out?
You did promise to explain everything once Sissel woke up. Don't you want to set things right?
Well, yeah, but... Hershel fell uncomfortably silent, and he looked away, avoiding eye contact with Sissel.
That difficult, huh?
Sissel scowled and gently reached for the golden trophy cup left by his bedside by the Remnant. He brushed his fingers over the Hershel McDermott on the plaque, his gaze hardening.
You don't have to say anything. I think I have a pretty good picture of what happened. The culinary contest. You flew across the country to attend the finals shortly after my mother had me. My grandparents' debtors visited her while you were gone and killed her after finding out she didn't have any money. They took everything in the cabin, including the baby. Me.
Sissel paused and looked up from staring at the trophy. Hershel's head hung low with shame as he avoided any eye contact. His brow shook as he tried to hold in whatever he was feeling. I wanted to tell you for so long. When I found you on the streets as a kid, I immediately knew I thought the world had given me another chance. So I did everything I could to take care of you from there on. But I was so scared that you would hate me for everything that happened to you.
And so you decided to hide it.
The bitter edge to Sissel's voice cut like a knife. Yeah.
I get that part, but there's something else that just doesn't click.
Hershel's eyes widened. He gulped and looked up, shoulders shaking. What do you mean?
My mother was killed by the debtors because she didn't have any money left. They probably thought she was refusing to pay and got violent. There wasn't a reason to kill if she was still coughing up dough, though, right? You figure Cecilia Bradley would save up some money in case this happened, right? But she didn't. Allegedly.
There was a long, tense pause. Hershel's fists were gripped so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Sissel held the trophy up to the light, examining it closely. And then he turned towards Hershel.
Hershel, where did you get the money to fly to the Nationals? The trip's travel costs aren't covered for contenders in the competition. So where the hell did you find the money to get there? You were hardly swimming in money at this point in your life.
It's not what it sounds like.
Is it, though? Is it?
Sissel stood up from his seat and glared at Hershel with absolute fury.
You were just like me, so damn desperate to win this trophy, wanting to make something of yourself. Except I didn't steal money from my only remaining family for a damn trophy.
That's not...
Am I wrong?
Hershel gaped in stunned dread before hanging his head down in shame. No, you're right. My sister was a good person. A better one than I could ever be. I thought this was a chance to prove myself. I thought if I could just win the competition, I could use the prize money to pay back all of our family's debt. In the end, I won, but Sissel gritted his teeth and lifted the trophy in his hands.
You won. But in the end, my mother was murdered, and I was thrown into a dumpster. My family, my childhood, all my time scavenging and begging on the streets, all for this damn cup!
With an utterly disgusted snarl, Sissel smashed the trophy into the ground. The golden shards shattered across the wooden attic floor as Sissel stormed out of the room, not once glancing towards Hershel's direction. I just wanted to help. Sissel paused and spoke quietly through gritted teeth.
I don't want to speak to you again. I can make my way through life without your help. In fact, your help is the last thing I need.
Without another word, Sissel left the cafe. God damn. Day 14. Dots. A lot of dots. Day 15. Burn. Okay, so I guess nothing happened on day 14. That was weird. Oh, burn. Oh. A whole day passed since Sissel left the cafe. I hadn't heard a word from him since he stormed out of those attic doors. The dozens of messages I sent were either left unread or ignored. Ginny and I spent hours searching for him throughout the city, from the cabin in Bradley Woods to the old alleyways Sissel used to frequent. He clearly didn't want to be found. I spent the last sleepless nights staring blankly at my ceiling, a blanket of dread weighing over me. Where the hell did he go? I nearly jumped out of my skin when my phone suddenly buzzed with a new message.
Hey John, you mind printing these for me? I'll grab them from you in front of Granny in the morning, thanks.
I stared at the message in disbelief. Hours of ignoring me and now he needs stuff printed? I scrolled down and opened the file attached to the message. It was a copy of Sissel's resume. Hershel's cafe was noticeably absent from the work experience section. Was he searching for a new job? I quickly sent him a reply. Sure, I'll get these to you tomorrow. Are you doing okay? Minutes rolled by, but no answer. I sighed and rolled back onto my bed and returned to staring at the ceiling. Guess I'll see him in the morning. The silence of my empty bedroom was deafening. Echo, are you there? Well, good night. The morning sun shined through. I guess this is day 16 now? The morning sun shined through the cafe's closed shades. It had remained dark and empty throughout these 2 days. No customers, no business, with pastry slowly growing stale on the display shelves. Hershel didn't know how long he sat alone on the cold kitchen floor. Hours, days. He hugged his legs closely as the hours ticked by, his whole body heavy in a melancholic daze. He knew he needed to get up. Hershel had a cafe to run, meals to eat, a life to live. Oh, fuck you! Still drowning in regret. Something was standing in front of him, staring at him with a wide grin. Hershel didn't care enough to look up. He buried his face into his arms and tried to block out the sound. Oh, god damn! God damn! The remnant leaned in closer, its wide maniacal grin inches from Hershel's face. All the regret in the world will make up for your mistakes. You're a black stain on this innocent family. It let out a high-pitched cackle, and his head fell back, laughing uncontrollably. Hershel covered his ears and squeezed his eyes shut. No, all I wanted was to make things better. You stole from your sister for a chance to win glory. The money was secondary. Oh, how you loathed living in your prodigy sister's shadow, and so you grasped for the one chance to prove that you were a worthwhile person. The remnant tilted its head. Too bad you destroyed your family in return. I never wanted this. You knew the risk and you took it anyway. Sissel never wants to see you again. If only you would just disappear from his life. This was the teaser image. Oh my god. Disappear. No. Ginny clasped her hands together tightly. She hung her head low as she sat alone on a park bench in the wee hours of the morning. I'm out of time. Ginny sighed and dusted her off her lap before standing up. A forced smile spread across her face as she tried to keep her head held high. Well, today's the day. She spoke to no one in particular. Vacations are supposed to be relaxing, right? I could use some relaxation nowadays. She hummed quietly to herself as she strolled down the quiet city streets. I miss talking to you, Hallie. I wonder what you're doing these days. I stomped out of the doors of Garania with a huff. For such a prestigious school, they sure had some shitty printers. I had to unjam that thing 3 times before it managed to spit out an unmangled version of Sissel's resume. Sure hope Sissel isn't gonna get annoyed that I'm late. Hey. I turned around in surprise. Oh, Sis, I hope I didn't keep you for too long.
Mind not calling me sis? I'm trying to block out some bad thoughts right now.
Oh. Well, I've got the prints you asked for. Do these look alright?
Thanks. Listen, sorry for being snappy. I'm just kinda messed up right now, you know?
It's fine. I didn't expect you to be perfectly fine after everything that happened. Are you holding up okay?
This is as okay as I'm gonna be.
Sissel grabbed his resume copies and flipped through them distractedly.
I'm gonna go around town and drop these off at a few places. It's not exactly a fun time, but do you want to come along?
Of course! I'm always here if you need me. Sissel paused for a moment before walking down the street.
Thanks. You deserve someone better, though. Not a mess like me.
Sissel spent the afternoon going from store to store in the downtown area, greeting people with a forced smile and handing them a copy of his resume. It was a rather old-school way to job hunting, but he seemed very familiar with the routine. I tagged along behind him the whole time like a supportive wingman. Supportive smiles and thumbs up, that's all I was. Sissel didn't talk much. Besides a group of fire trucks speeding past the street with the sirens screeching, our trip around town was uncomfortably quiet. I think we were all ignoring the elephant in the room as long as we could, but I couldn't stand the silence any longer. So, what you gonna do about the whole Hershel situation? Sissel's face immediately darkened and he turned around to face me with a growl of frustration.
What about him?
Well, I knew this might be a prickly subject, but don't you want some closure with him?
I want nothing to do with him.
Sissel hisses and kicks a nearby pebble into the street.
There's just so much shit with Hershel. With me. I want nothing to do with that. I just want to move on with my life.
But Hershel seems to really regret what he did. Don't you want to try...
It doesn't change the fact that this man ruined my life. My whole childhood is now one big what could have been, and that pisses me the hell off. Stop bringing this up. I've got job applications to focus on.
What? A panicked voice cut off my train of thought. Ginny rounded the street corner in a frantic dash with a face of absolute terror. She stumbled into us and grabbed onto Sissel's arm as she gasped for breath. Did you guys see the news?
Teach? What is it?
Ginny thrusted her phone into his hand and jabbed at it wildly through hoarse panting. The news! The cafe's on the news! We glanced down at her phone screen. Sure enough, a news report was showing a large group of fire trucks pulling into the cafe's familiar parking lot. A news reporter spoke rapidly towards the camera as it panned over the reveal of the cafe enveloped in a wall of orange.
The unusual fire has halted any and all rescue efforts. The local fire department reports that despite all efforts and massive amount of water pumped onto the scene, the fire refuses to subside in any way. Firefighters are baffled by the flames' unusual behavior.
Sissel almost dropped the phone in shock. All the anger from earlier melted away into worry as his hands shook against the phone screen.
What? Did Hershel make it out?
This just in, the owner of the cafe is still unaccounted for, and all rescue efforts have remained unsuccessful. The phone was tossed haphazardly back into Ginny's arms. Sissel was already halfway down the street in a panic-stricken dash. Sissel, wait! I turned towards Ginny, who was still hunched over with exhaustion. Ginny, you okay? She managed to nod and jabbed her finger down the street towards Sissel's retreating figure. Go after Sissel. Make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. He seems awfully worried. The two of us froze as the familiar cackling echoed through the air. The remnant was sitting casually on the ground, legs crossed and head tilted inquisitively. Didn't Sissel want to cut Hershel out of his life? Why does he suddenly care about him? Mankind is so curious. Something inside me snapped. I forcefully grabbed the remnant by the throat and dragged him close, my mind seeping with fury.
Why the fuck do you keep doing this?
Why the fuck do you keep messing with us? This fire, you did this, didn't you? Remnant only grinned and giggled. Hershel already wanted to disappear. I just gave him a little push. I made this little fire especially for him. Why is it so wrong to give people what they want? I threw the wish onto the pavement where it landed nonchalantly like a sack of potatoes. Ignoring its curious gaze, I stormed down the street towards the cafe. Ginny, hurry up! We gotta catch up with Sissel! Ginny nodded weakly and staggered after me. Will you try and save him? This fire is a hungry one. It won't rest until it's had its fill. I haven't forgotten what the flower said. If you don't watch him, he'll burn or some shit. Sissel was running like a madman down the streets towards his old cafe. By the time we caught up to him, the air around us was already thick with the smell of smoke and ash. I finally reached the crowd gathered around the fire scene. Where was Sissel? He got here way before us. There! I ran up to him and grabbed his shoulder with relief. Sissel, don't run off like that. I thought you were gonna have a panic. I finally caught sight of the fire. In my hurry, I almost completely missed it. The flames roared fiercely against the cafe's walls, spitting like rabid, glowing snakes out of the broken windows. The glow, the heat, it hurt simply to stand here. My home. There was a conflicted venom in his voice as he gaped at the destructive sight. Like he wasn't sure whether he was happy or broken by the collapsing walls of the precious cafe where he shared with Hershel. The bitter memories reflected off of Sissel's expression as he glanced towards a group of firefighters attempting to hose down the wall of flames at the cafe's entrance. The water barely tickled the fire before it erupted even more brightly than before. There was definitely something unnatural about this. Hershel's still in there, isn't he? He took a step forward. My eyes widened as I realized what he was thinking. Sissel, wait! There you are! Ginny's voice cracked against her parched throat as she caught up with us, staggering through the crowd. She grabbed Sissel's arm, stopping him. That fire! You can't just charge in there! This is suicide! Sissel's eyes were torn as he stared from the fire to Ginny and then to me. I hate him so much. But Hershel's the only family I have left. I can't just leave him like this. Without another word, Sissel made a mad dash through the crowd and a line of firefighters charging straight through the wall of flame at the entrance. The fire suddenly parted like a curtain as if allowing Sissel into this fiery hell. Kid! You can't go in there! I took a moment to glance at Ginny before turning towards the cafe's burning and collapsing entrance. What the hell? I'll probably die young anyhow. The firefighter screamed at me as I lunged past them and into the fiery curtain at cafe doors. Like before, the flames parted as I fell into the smoking interior. The fire parted for me, singeing my hair on my arms as I leapt into the smoke and leaving the crowd behind me. Well, looks like this is it. The firefighters almost caught Ginny, but she dug past them and into the cafe with a determined smile. The air was thick with hot smoke and ash. I stumbled through the familiar charcoal doors of the cafe and blindly felt my way through the building. The cafe was looking really bad. Everywhere I looked, the once lively space of this familiar cafe was burned to an unrecognizable blackened mass. The walls looked like they would buckle under the heat and collapse at any moment. I felt a tap on my shoulder and turned to see the sheepish smile of Ginny. Ginny, you shouldn't be here! Speak for yourself. Come on, let's grab Sis and get out of here. This building looks like it'll go under any moment now. I nodded nervously and the two of us paced deeper into the building. Sissel, where are you? A hacking cough echoed through the crumbling kitchen walls. John, over here! Ginny and I jumped through the kitchen doors, just narrowly avoiding a column that fell through the ceiling and crushed the entrance behind us. The two of us stared nervously at the massive pile of rubble blocking our path. There was still the back entrance. We should still be able to escape if we hurry. Sissel! We ran over to him. Sissel was struggling to hold up an unconscious Hershel over his shoulder. He looked up in panic, glancing between us and the collapsing exits of the kitchen. I found him! Help me carry him! Oh my god! Hershel was heavy, but the two of us managed to haul him to his feet. He had turned so ragged in just the past 2 days, it was gut-wrenching. Sissel spared him a worried glance before dragging him across the kitchen. All the other kitchen exits collapsed when I came in here. I'm pretty sure the back entrance is still open. Ginny was ahead of us, pushing debris and fallen tables out of the way as we struggled to carry Hershel through the rubble. She glanced at the buckling ceiling with nervous terror and waved us towards the exit. Hurry up, guys! You're running out of time! Sissel and I nodded and pushed forward. A terrible crack shook the building as the ceiling above us abruptly collapsed. The world seemed to move in slow motion as massive slabs of concrete came tumbling down over our heads. Sissel and I gaped, staring upwards with terror paralyzing our feet. My heart was hammering against my chest as I tried to break out of shock. We need to move! We need to move! Move! Ginny crashed into us from behind, shoving us through the doorway. All the air left my lungs. We fell forward and tumbled into the safety of the hallway. Behind us, blocking the way back into the kitchen, was a massive wall of collapsed concrete. Behind us was Ginny. Sissel let out a scream and rushed back towards the rubble, pounding at it uselessly with his fists. Ginny! Ginny! I'm fine! A small breath of relief filled my chest at the sound of Ginny's muffled voice through the wall. It's okay. I jumped back just in time. I glanced at the wall, my throat tightening painfully. There was no way we could dig Ginny out of there in time. Sissel didn't seem to care. He heaved and clawed at the wall with bloodied fingers, with feral screams. I'm not leaving you here like this! I'm not worth dying over! I'm dying anyway, a fire makes no difference! Sissel, you have to go! Help John carry Hershel out of here! I'll be fine! No, she won't be. But she was right. I grabbed Sissel's shaking shoulder and gave him a pleading look. Sissel, please! We have to get out of here. Sissel stared down at me through gritted teeth and tearful eyes. But... There was another resounding crack as another part of the ceiling collapsed upon itself. Sissel squeezed his eyes shut before furiously turning around and grabbing Hershel. The two of us began carrying him out. Sissel didn't dare look back. He might not be able to leave if he did. I, on the other hand, looked behind with my heart lurching painfully in my chest. There was a small opening in the rubble, nowhere near big enough for Ginny to escape through, just big enough to become a window for her last moments. She stared at me ruefully. A sad and knowing smile spread across her face as our eyes met for the last time. Take care of them for me, will you? I'll see you again soon, John. She soon disappeared as the cafe collapsed into dust behind us. The fire raged on for hours and hours before it finally subsided. We never saw Ginevra Corliss again. Enjoy your vacation, Jenny. Soon after the fire, Hershel was admitted to the hospital. He woke up after a few days after the incident, alone in his room. It's a pretty bare-bones fucking hospital room. A crumpled letter lay at his bedside. Sissel's bitter handwriting scrawled across the page, a final message addressed to Hershel. To Hershel, I've lost everything. After the events of the past few days, I have nothing left tying me down to this awful city anymore. Nothing but awful memories. So, I've decided to leave. I'm hopping on a train and going as far from this city as possible. Hopefully, I'll be able to leave this wretched place behind me and start over in a new life. Hershel, tell me, why did you start the fire? Did you really think ending your life would fix anything? Then I'd be happy to see you gone. No. Everything just fell apart even further. I lost another person I loved. Make something of your life, and do something good with it. Jenny died saving us, saving you. Don't let her down like you did to me. And to John, I'm sorry things ended so abruptly and horribly. You were a good friend, maybe even more than a friend, throughout this whole mess. I'm grateful for all the faith and support you've given me. I wish things didn't turn out like this. I stared at the letter for what felt like centuries before folding it up and sighing in defeat. All that's happened, and it ends like this. The world felt so unreal. Ginny, Sissel, where did I go wrong? You failed. You failed your friend, and then you let her die. A wave of anger washed over me. I glared at Hallie's form with disdain. Oh, so now you show up. Are you just here to kick me while I'm down? Tempting, but no. I'm giving you the chance to make things right. Take it. Oh, fuck. That's the first screen. The air itself shattered into pieces as brilliant light blinded me. Hallie gave me a sideways glance with that unreadable expression of hers, and then walked into the fracture in space. What is going on? Does she want me to follow her? I stared at the bright cracks and gulped. Something about it felt so familiar. With a determined nod, I stepped forward and walked into the light. This place definitely feels familiar. I've been here before. Many times, in fact. I just can't remember clearly. Suddenly, I heard that familiar voice again. It was soft, gentle, patient, like it had all the time in the world. Hello again, John. Where am I? And what is this place? This is a world of second chances. I was a person filled with many regrets, and when the world collapsed around me, well, I created this place. With Hallie's help, of course. If you had the chance to go back and do everything over again, to save everyone, would you? I stared into the empty space and gulped. The chance to make everything better, to make things right again. Of course! I'd do anything to make that happy. Make that happy. I think that make that happen. Everyone, they deserved better than this. And now, I give all my second chances to you. So long as you don't repeat the same mistakes. You have it in you to set things right. I know it. The ground below me suddenly disappeared. I could feel myself falling into the abyss. I flailed my arms and screamed into this empty clockwork realm. Wait! Who are you? You'll remember eventually. I'll see you again soon, John. To be motherfucking continued. Holy God. Well, that was a fucking moment, wasn't it? That was one hell of a moment. God damn. God damn. God damn, dude. I don't have any fucking words. I have no idea what the fuck will come next. This is the end of Path A. I don't know how the fuck Path B is gonna work. I don't goddamn know. I look forward to finding out, but we will find out in the next update. But until then, folks, I have been the trained unprofessional, speaking for the voices in my head when I say, fare thee well. Bye, everyone.